Hey guys, I'm Jade.
And I'm Amal, and we're the founders of Equalution.
So just to give you guys a little bit of background on Equalution, we're body transformation experts. So what we do is we apply our own science-based formula to work out what each person requires in terms of overall calories, protein, fats and carbs, and then we use your food preferences to meet these in a customized nutrition plan.
So we've transformed bodies, thousands of bodies worldwide, and we're here to jump on and give you guys just education around this period of time and what you can do to improve your diet and also avoid those isolation kilos.
So we've heard countless times how much everyone is struggling behind closed doors in regards to constant trips to the fridge, trying to gain motivation, getting torn between, do I just sort of like chill out at this time, or do I keep focused? Do I use it as an opportunity to advance in my health and fitness goals? So we wanted just to jump on here and just have a chat about some things that you can do behind the scenes, just to sort of get ahead without jumping too far back behind.
Okay, so guys, tip number one. Do not buy unnecessary food. I know everyone is panic buying at the moment, which we shouldn't even be doing anyways, but don't stock up your fridge or your pantry with food that you don't need or feel tempted to eat that, one, is high in calories, or two, that you have no self-control over.
I've seen so many memes about eating isolation food in 2 days where it's supposed to last like 14 days or something like that. So I think the key is just don't overbuy and don't have your pantry stocked with novelty snacks that you'll constantly be tempted to go and indulge on.
And if you do want to have a few treats in your pantry, opt for the single serve packages. So for example, when you go and buy, ice creams or chocolate bars or, lollies or whatever, buy the ones that come in individual servings. So Skinny Cow ice creams, the cookies, the sundaes, you've got your single serve treat size chocolate bars. So opt for the single serve over the blocks or the bigger packages, because then you can execute portion control.
So at Equalution, we practice an 80-20 approach to nutrition. So that's 80% wholesome and nutritious food and 20% food for the soul. So you are able to have your cake and eat it too, but the key to maintaining your weight or even getting ahead and progressing with weight loss goals is portion control through ultimately calorie control. So Amal mentioned, great point, just to reduce those temptations by just buying already portioned food.
And it's okay to have, just like Jade said,
for sure.
But in moderation. If you're craving something sweet for an afternoon snack or after dinner, grab a chocolate bar, grab a single serve ice cream, grab something small, but you don't need to go ham.
And remember at this time as well, one thing that we can't change is obviously the fact that our lifestyle has changed. So for that reason, like, a lot of people are a lot less active than they usually are. But one thing you can control is your nutrition. So you just have to sort of just taper back a little bit to compensate for that lesser movement and that lesser activity level. So on that note, another really important point to helping you stay on track is to keep active. So that doesn't mean you have to stand on a treadmill for 4 hours a day and just go haywire on it. You can just step outside, do a simple hour of activity, whether that be a brisk walk or some online training programs. We're both on BeFit online training at the moment, and we've been loving the online programming. So even just scheduling like a small block of your day, it's such a small portion, but you can ultimately stay on track and have just even a really good mindset through just keeping active.
I feel like when you're feeling really peckish, stepping outside and going for a walk so you can take your mind off food is like a really, really helpful thing to do. So moving away from the pantry and the kitchen, which is literally within arm's reach, and going for a walk, burning calories, gets your mind off thinking about food.
And a lot of people are boredom eating as well at the moment. So I think, and another really good point, so this comes on to point number 3, is having a plan is a really good thing to stick to at the moment. Whether you're just pre-planning your day and meal prepping as you usually would if you were to go to work, actually like in an office. It's a really good way for you to kind of have some sort of schedule to stick to, rather than just going ad hoc and just like going to the fridge when you feel like it, because at the moment that seems to be quite frequent for a lot of people, that trip to the fridge.
You know what? I was guilty of being that person that was snacking so much. When we first had to isolate, I felt like I kept going to the pantry and getting popcorn and, chocolate bars and, little snacks. And then I was like, no, that's it. I need to write myself a meal plan. I need to have some sort of meal routine, just like you have with everyday routine. And that has helped so much. So now I've got my morning coffee, I've got my breakfast snack lunch, snack dinner, and dessert, and I'm set. I literally do not feel like I need to eat any more than what my meal plan has.
I'm glad you're going so well with that.
Thank you for the support. No, but in on a serious note,
it does help a lot.
Yeah, it does help. And you know, I don't know if you guys follow Equalution, but we've just launched our 8-week challenge, and the reason why we've launched our 8-week challenge around this period of time is because we've had so many people contact us, you know, on both an individual and on the Equalution page about how to get through this time and avoiding, you know, gaining weight while you're at home, while you're stress eating, while you're boredom eating. And it's all about setting yourself a routine and ensuring that you're eating the right amount of calories for the reduction of, you know, activity levels.
And on that note as well, we have been contacted countless amounts of time in regards to tackling this issue. So don't self-loathe or feel hopeless or guilty, because I'm telling you right now, it's happening across the board. Like, everyone's battling with do I just let loose or do I try and stay on track? So it's just a matter of not even like setting these huge goals right now, but just kind of like progressively getting through each day, which when we're goal setting, and that's another point as well, setting goals, we try and sort of do it incrementally as well. So not sort of say, I want to lose 10 kilos by the end of the year, but rather something like, you know, drop a dress size in 2 months or something like that, because I think if you set it too high, it seems unrealistic, and then throwing the towel in just seems all too easy.
Yeah, I agree. Another tip that we have is don't restrict. So don't use this period of time to be like, okay guys, I'm going into self-isolation and I'm going to come out with my best body. Be realistic right now. You know, obviously activity levels are going to drop. Don't starve yourself. Don't restrict yourself from the foods that you love just because you don't have any self-control. Everything in moderation.
So one thing that surprises a lot of people when they come onto the Equalution program is a lot of our females, for instance, I would say the average calorie intake is around the 1800 mark for weight loss. So a lot of people, when they think weight loss, they think 800, 900, 1000 calories, and the happy number seems to be 1200, but it's actually not the case. As a female, our calorie deficit is probably a lot higher than what you guys think. So when we say don't restrict yourself, a lot of people really restrict themselves. So it's much the opposite to that, and you can actually have a lot more balance and a lot more flexibility than what you do realize just through science alone.
Eating not enough is just as bad as eating too much. You put your body in like a starvation mode. So your body tries to hold on to absolutely everything because it needs the energy, so the calories that you've given it to live. So instead of, you know, eating your 800, 900, 1000 calorie diet, you should be eating adequately enough for what your body needs.
The way I describe metabolic adaptation to a lot of people in the simplest analogy is a super hybrid car. So your body essentially becomes like a really super efficient car with its fuel. So it learns to do way more with way less. So essentially you become super efficient. So it's not really the way you want to go. You want to be able to be eating the most amount of calories and burning the most amount of weight simultaneously.
I agree. And another tip from me is do not resort to food when you're feeling stressed or feeling down during this time. So obviously the world has thrown curveballs right now, and it is a very unfortunate and uncertain time for everyone. And I can understand and appreciate that a lot of people would be stressed, you know, they would be sad, they would be emotional for a number of reasons, but it doesn't mean that it's okay to be resorting to food.
Yeah. We're in this together. So even though there's only 2 people in our household, you know, we're not only supporting each other emotionally through this like uncertain and unknown time, but also through our health and fitness goals as well. So we meal prep together, we pre-plan our day together, we do our activity together in terms of like exercise and training and whatnot. And I think buddying up with someone is a really good way to stay on track, because the downside is if one falls, you can potentially both fall. But the good thing is, and what happens in most cases is if one's feeling a little weaker, the other one will bring the other up. So Amal and I together have lost 50 kilos, and I think that was one keynote that took us all the way through that journey was each other.
And also just engaging in a community. You know, there are so many online communities right now, especially like during what's going on at the moment. Join an online community, get yourself involved, you know, be proactive, reach out, make friends, make online friends, and just, you know, team up with a buddy online and keep each other accountable. I know there's so many Equalution accounts. Like, feel free to search Equalution on Instagram and follow a few of, you know, our clients, because watching their journeys and speaking to them is so inspiring. And I know when you have that, or a person that you can speak to, or someone that can keep you on track, it makes everything a lot easier.
Outside of health and fitness, what do you think you found to be the hardest challenge of this period of time?
I think the hardest challenge outside health and fitness has been the lack of interaction with humans. You know, I feel like we've taken that for granted, being able to go for lunch or dinner with your friends, you know, being able to go to the office and see your staff. I feel like that has been the hardest part, because I live with my partner and it makes it easier, like Jade said, being with someone during this time, but to go and see family, see friends, see staff is just like a whole different experience. So yeah, that's been the toughest for me.
So I think as well, on that note, if you are living by yourself, because a lot of people are getting pulled through with those that they're living under the same roof with. So if you are someone that is, you know, physically speaking, isolated, I would say just make sort of like online community friends and join those forums, join those groups, jump onto great communities, even like the Stylerunner health club community as well, and connect with people. Really use this time to make those connections, because if you're physically isolated and then as an individual also isolated, it can be a little bit of a ticket for disaster, even not only in a health and fitness context, but also just mentally as well. So I think making those connections is really important.
I agree.
For me, I found I'm a real routine person. I know a lot of people are as well. So I'm quite rigid. Every day, it's pretty to the T. And I like doing ad hoc things, but I just really like having, you know, some sort of like set routine. And being out of that, it's really meant an adaptation of another routine. So if you are a routine person, you simply just recreate a new one using your new circumstances. So I think having that sort of plan every day has made it a lot easier for me. But yeah, definitely being outside of my normal routine has like thrown a bit of a spanner in the works. But it's just like making these adaptations. Hey?
I know that Jade has like the hour of power every day. It's like an hour that she just goes into her little home gym, blasts. I think she puts on Fisher. Fisher. I think Zara has said this to me, because Zara's like, what the hell? Blasts Fisher and just works out. And you know what? I think incorporating some sort of activity or like exercise, just like Jade mentioned before, into your daily routine will help. So for me, it's, you know, every morning I wake up and me and my partner will walk to the furthest coffee shop, just so we can get our steps up, we can get out of the house, and we can, you know, just be active.
And that activity is whatever works for you. So for me personally, we've got a really high pressure job, and we run a really big company, and there's a lot of stresses, a lot of pressures. For me, my workout time needs to be intense. I can't do just like a brisk walk. I need to be gasping for my absolute last breath. So that's why I do go into my home gym. I've got a treadmill, I've got some weights, and I'm on an online program with BeFit. So what I love about that is it's the same level of intensity as what I would usually have on a day-to-day, and that's my outlet. But for some people, it's just a brisk walk that might work for them, and they would despise the thought of doing anything like that. So it's not a matter of, you know, doing what you hate. It's a matter of doing what works for you, and ultimately that's what you're going to be able to sustain.
And the intensity will differ person to person. So for me, starting my day with a light walk versus Jade doing her hour of power where she smashes out a workout is so different. But at the end of the day, we're burning calories, we're getting our mind off food, we're just staying active during this time.
One thing that a few people have contacted Equalution about in regards to during this time too is binge eating. So there's a lot of people that are struggling with binge eating, which is really just a whole nother kettle of fish in terms of like relationship with food and whatnot.
It's a whole different video.
It's a completely different topic, and it does differ in level of severity person to person. But if you're someone that's struggling with binging, I mean, we deal with this on a really intricate level with our clients, because it is quite a severe it's got a psychological dimension as well. But if you're someone that on a day-to-day basis is kind of like battling with that mindset, just a few simple tips. So the first one is, like Amal said, when you're having those mental battles, just get outside. Have a bit of a walk, just take a moment to like remove yourself from the environment and the situation, and just go for a walk. And I'm telling you now, that moment of just like regrouping and just saying, okay, it's not really worth it.
You reconsider.
You do reconsider.
Yeah, you really do. I say 10 minutes, like at least 10 minutes being away from your kitchen or whatever the temptation is really, really helps.
The second one is...
Oh, I just touched your hand.
We actually have had a fair bit of time apart, so this is our first day together in a long time.
I know.
We're used to seeing each other every day. We have it so like human interaction. We're sanitized as well. So the second thing as well on that note is just in terms of like removing yourself from the situation and whatnot, is taking yourself out of the environment. If you're someone that your pantry is just stocked with just useless foods for your ultimate health goal. Take yourself out of that environment, and doing physical activity is one thing, but then removing yourself from the actual like space in which you're having these thoughts is a whole another thing. So doing that hand in hand goes really well. We mentioned it before, but the prepackaged food is also really good for binge eating. So one thing that makes people susceptible to binges is if they have sort of copious amounts of food at their disposal. So if you have like tubs of ice cream, blocks of chocolate, you're likely going to go over in portion size and sort of just get into like a blackout motion of eating uncontrollably. So if you have these pre-portioned foods, it's really going to help with just pulling the handbrake on all of that.
And invest in activities other than cooking. Like, don't just become a baker because everyone's baking banana bread. If you are a binge eater, or you have no self-control right now and you're really struggling with staying on track with your food, the worst thing you can do right now is bake all these goodies, because you're going to have no self-control when it comes to like balance eating with all these pastries and whatnot. So I would suggest don't even bother, don't even start right now. I know it sounds like a fun idea, especially because everyone's isolating.
But if you're battling with food, it's a real ticket for disaster.
Yeah, it really is, especially because you don't have anyone else to feed during this time if you don't live with your family and you're by yourself. So try and avoid baking, banana bread and all those baked goods during this time.
Yeah, have a support person as well. So you might be involved in like online communities and whatnot, as we've spoken about, but because it is a little bit more of like a personal and emotional issue, have that like one person that you talk to about derailing or having binges or something like that. The one person that you might give a call and just say like, I'm just battling today, like I just really want to eat and whatnot. Just have that person that can talk you through it, someone that you trust, someone that you care about, and that will also really help, as well as just also feeling not only supported but someone that you can talk it through with. Because I think some things that get people behind when they're having those binge eating thoughts is just like kind of losing your mind a little bit. So it's like a moment of not thinking and then acting impulsively, and then you just sort of think, why the hell did I do that in the first place? So if you just talk it through with someone and have that one support person, it can really help too.
Staying accountable to someone really helps, because you feel like you don't want to disappoint that person as well. Like knowing that you have someone who cares about you and cares about your progress, it's on the back of your mind. So when you go to reach for an extra piece of chocolate, or a few extra scoops of ice cream or whatever it is, you're like, no, I don't want to disappoint myself, and I don't want to disappoint this person, and I've actually been doing really well, so I'm not going to binge today. And it really, really helps. If you do happen to fall into a binge, or if you do happen to overeat, the best thing you can do is just get back on track the next day.
Actually, I've seen a lot of people sort of speak about how they're on like a weekly derail. Like it's like something happens in terms of binge eating on like say one day, and then the next day they're stuck in the same rut, the same mindset, and it goes again and again. That, from like a weight perspective, can probably be the rabbit hole that kind of like shoots you in the foot, because it's really where the weight starts to creep on. It's a calorie surplus in like a scientific sort of form, and basically what that means is you're consuming more food than what your body is burning, and that ultimately leads to weight gain. And for binge eating, it can happen really quick, because it's an excessive amount of calories in one hit, as opposed to sort of just like overeating for like a couple of months in a row. And then another thing that happens when you binge eat too is you tend to retain a lot of fluid. So not only are you gaining weight, I guess, on the scales and gaining body fat, but you're feeling far heavier than what you actually are. And
it's not a good feeling.
No, and then that's when people progressively start to decline in terms of their mindset. So the best thing to do is nip it in the butt straight away. If you do sort of have a bad day, like what Amal said, the next day just jump back on track.
Just get back on track. Do not try and, counteract what happened the day before. Don't try and restrict or starve yourself, because what you do is put yourself in a binge and restrict cycle. And you just binge, then you restrict, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to binge again, and then restrict. So if it does happen, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. You just get back on track the next day.
And another really simple one is drinking enough water too. So a lot of people don't drink enough water throughout the day. They can mistake dehydration for hunger, but then also just drinking enough water also makes you feel like quite satisfied, and it rids any fluid retention that you might have too, second to that. So just keep your water on you, aim for about 3 liters a day. It will help. And when you're like checking those health boxes, so you're having enough water, you're doing, your hour of power, you're sticking to some sort of plan, and
you're not restricted,
and you're well supported as well. It's like an overarching umbrella for getting your health and fitness on track.
You don't need to use this time necessarily to lose weight. You just need to use this time to just live a very balanced lifestyle in terms of like nutrition and like exercise. But That's if you're someone who's struggling with a binge eating disorder.
Yeah, I was going to say that as well.
Yeah.
Like, you might be going all guns a-blazing with a goal at the moment, and that's so
That's
fine.
so fine.
But if you're someone that's battling with your relationship with
Yeah.
food, don't try and do both at the same
No.
time, because you're just going to spiral. Like, one of them will suffer.
I agree. And it's just a band-aid solution. You know, if you haven't, you know, spend some time resolving your binge eating issue or your poor relationship with food, you'll get to your goal weight and then you'll just go backwards. So you need to focus on that first before you consider fat loss.
So guys, if you have any more questions or you'd like to see more from us, simply head onto the Equalution Instagram account. We'll put a link below and you can sort of check out what we do here at Equalution. And we also have, as we mentioned earlier on, we have an 8-week In It Together challenge. So throughout this period of time, we can all hold hands and walk through it together and progress on our health and fitness goals.
We've got a huge $5,000 first prize that we're giving away. This is our biggest challenge yet.
Yeah.
We thought, you know, we'd give back to the community as much as we can. So we'd love to be a part of this journey with you guys. If you do have weight loss or muscle gain or any type of goal in mind right now, we're here to support you and we'd love to have you part of the Equalution tribe.
So hopefully we'll see you more on the Stylerunner Health Club, and you guys enjoy your day.
Thanks for listening. Bye.